This is how I went from being a broke 22-year-old with no future job prospects to a six-figure earning cybersecurity consultant in the space of only a couple of years. And I wasn't previously technical. I had no good job prospects. I was doing a boring 12K a year job in a pub. And to be honest, that was all I was likely going to have because I was doing a boring politics degree. I remember looking around at everyone in the politics lecture hall and thinking, what jobs are we going to get? What future prospects really are for us? There's a massive supply and there's no demand for politics students. So I had to do something. I had to change very quickly. So I did lots of research. I was looking online and cybersecurity kept coming up time and time again. And it's absolutely key to note the high demand and short supply because that was the key with cybersecurity. That was what I recognized so early on and that allowed me to accelerate my life in a way I could never have dreamt of. But what was holding me back from starting was I didn't feel like I was technical enough. I didn't know anything about computers, anything about networking or applications, let alone about cybersecurity. So I did more research and I found an online cybersecurity course, and that was one of my first steps. So I did that and I got the basic knowledges, and then I decided to teach myself everything at home, mainly from things like YouTube videos. I downloaded Visual Studio Code, I downloaded Git, I created a GitHub account, and I started just pushing my first lines of code to a GitHub repo, just basic markdown. That gave me my first set of tech skills. And then I created an AWS account. I taught myself Terraform, and I started deploying AWS resources. So I deployed a basic EC2 instance with a WordPress on it, just so I could see and visualize a website, provide all the security groups, and just did all the security, which I really enjoyed. That gave me another booster. Then I started deploying the resources using Terraform. And then this was the key part. This was where I started getting interested in the DevSecOps space. I started using a tool called Jenkins, which is a CI/CD pipeline tool. Now, all these tools are free. You can literally use them right now. If you're going to use a pipeline tool, I recommend you use GitHub Actions just because that's where tech's going and the best pipeline deployment tool out there at the moment. But then I started doing things like SaaS scanning, infrastructure as code scanning, software composition analysis scans. I started running them in my own pipelines all for free. And that really piqued my interest in DevSecOps and cybersecurity. And then I taught myself some basic penetration testing. Now, the best way to do this is download Docker, spin up a Docker container with JewShop running on it, and start hacking the JewShop instance. You can go on OAS JewShop's website, and they will give you some challenges that you can do. I just did this myself at home. It was the best and quickest way to learn cybersecurity and application security, which you really need in a DevSecOps role. And simultaneously to that, I recommend you going on tryhackme.com, start doing some of their OAS top 10 modules that really give you good penetration testing skills. Now, in a DevSecOps role, you don't need to be an expert penetration tester, but it helps to have an appreciation of how pen testers work so you can scope pen tests for third parties, etc. So it's really, really key in one of these roles. Then I was ready to apply for my first role. I applied for the first role by accident. I accidentally applied for a role at BA Systems. It was the wrong role, but I actually got the job. So I had an interview the next day, went through the interview process. I decided to do a presentation, which they weren't actually expecting, and I did a presentation on my pipelines and all the really good work I'd done already that I taught myself at home. They called me up half hour. I left the office and offered me my first job role in cybersecurity. Then I spent a lot of my time in central government where I started doing DevSecOps and Cloud Security. Then I went into financial services. That was when my career started really accelerating. Once you get your first role, that's always the hardest thing. I then became a senior cybersecurity consultant, and that's when my salary rapidly increased. I then started working at other financial organizations. I even went to KPMG, did a small stint there, and my salary just kept increasing. The best way to get the salary increases was by job hopping quite a lot. So I did quite a lot of that, and that did actually work. And then I got into senior management in cybersecurity, right the way to the point now where I'm about to begin a CISO role, for example. So I did it very quickly. I've seen people do it quicker. I've seen people get to six-figure salaries. And by the way, I'm a hiring manager. I have been for many years. I'm in a senior cybersecurity role. I have given people these crazy salaries, some with even less than a year experience in cybersecurity, but they have the right skills. So you've got to focus on upskilling in cloud, Terraform. You've got to learn infrastructure as code. You have to understand the tech stack of the organizations that you're going to be going to. So the best way to do that is AWS, Azure. Get familiar with Kubernetes if you can as well, but deploy your own pipelines. Pipeline technology is absolutely key for a DevSecOps role, and everyone really wants that skill set. But focus on learning the software engineering skills, the data skills, basically the whole tech stack of the companies you're going to be working for, and then have cybersecurity training intertwined within that. That will make you a really good DevSecOps all-rounder because you have to have a high-level appreciation of how all those different teams work because you'll likely be embedding within those teams to put DevSecOps practices in place. And I'll be doing many more videos on how you actually do that as well. I've seen people come in with under a year's experience, start off at 80K base, end up with 20-25% bonuses on top and equity. So it pushes them over the 100K. I've seen that done time and time again because there's still a massive demand and and short supply in DevSecOps cybersecurity skills. Now, if you want to learn all the skills that I just mentioned, I actually run and design the best DevSecOps bootcamp there is out there, which I've been running for some time now with great success. So if you're interested, check the link in my bio. Follow this channel. I'm going to be posting many more videos and giving you lots of free advice and skills on how to get into DevSecOps. And as part of the bootcamp, we will be building live projects that you can put on your CV, as I just discussed, and I'll be building them with you so you can have them in GitHub repos, put them on your CV, put them on your LinkedIn, and you can share them during the interviews. I always share my screen during interviews. That is the big secret in this space because no one else does that. I've built DevSecOps teams from the ground up at many organizations across a whole range of industries. I know exactly the skills you need to do the role, and I know exactly the skills you need that loads of hiring managers out there are desperate for. Follow this channel. Good luck and reach out if you have any questions.